You're not on YouTube to entertain. You're on YouTube to educate a very specific audience. And it's not good to attract anyone other than an audience, right? Because it screws up the algorithm and it drops your lead count down. If you're like me and you're not going to be working with the client, you need to make sure you're saying things like my team, my agent, my money guy, and you're really educating your audience that you're not the person they're going to be working with, but you're the person who has vetted the person they're going to be working with. They trust you, so they're going to trust who you pick for them to work with.
We know all real estate agents want to acquire clients consistently so that they can grow their business and income for that great lifestyle. This broadcast brings you the best and top people in the industry to support that quest. This is Dave Fanale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk-TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and Align, your premier real estate solution. Good morning, everybody. Again, this is Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 372. This is 67 weeks in a row. Sometimes I miss it. We're over 7 years. We've been doing this every week. I'm excited about it. We're going further. We're going to keep going. Don't know how long, but 10 years sounds good. We'll stop it there, maybe. Anyway, today we have everybody we have on is special and great. And I really enjoy my conversations with people because I get to know them during the week and we move forward if I've never met them before. Rachel Dau is no exception to that. She is a top real estate producer in Boise, Idaho. She has decided that she does not want to work 85, 75, 95, a million hours a week. And she's figured out a way and a strategy to make her money, what she wants to make, in as little as averaging 3 hours a week. We're going to talk about that. She does it through YouTube. She uses this great system that she has worked into called Channel Junkies, and we're going to talk about that too. So I want to welcome you, Rachel. Thank you so much for being on today. I'm really excited about our conversation.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
This is really great. So you know what? We gave you the intro of what we're here to talk about, and the important part, though, for me always, Rachel, is to know where people came from, to know, why they're at the point where they're at, what got them there, what was the evolution, what did they have to implement, what strategies. We talked about your strategy very quickly before. And the question for you is really to start our conversation is, how did you get from where you were to here? I mean, some people start in high school, some people start, wherever they started. What was your journey like, Rachel?
We got heavy real quick around here.
Yes, we do, baby.
So I would say my journey started back in my teen years. My dad was an entrepreneur, and sometimes that looked good, and sometimes that looked really difficult. And once he got his footing and things were looking real good, he received a cancer diagnosis and passed away within months of his diagnosis. And it was very fast, very brutal. And he was self-employed. We lost everything. We were living in a home in San Diego, pool, RVs, the whole 9 yards. And it turned into leaving that situation, moving out literally into the Mojave Desert in a trailer. My mom had always been a homemaker. She started going to school. I dropped out of high school to work. 2 younger brothers that needed, my mom needed a lot of support. And through the journey of healing and coming to understand why our family had experienced that, I promised myself that I always knew I wanted to work for myself. I always knew I was an entrepreneur, but I promised that I would create a business that would generate income in a way that if anything ever happened to me, the income would continue. I didn't know how that was going to look, but the day I turned 18, I started trying things. I tried all different businesses. I was in college. I did become a nurse, but alongside that, I was always starting businesses and attempting to figure out a way to create an income that would continue to roll in if I ever had a medical event, because I never wanted to put my family through what we experienced when my dad passed away. So that's
Right.
where it started. And I did have, on paper, significant success. But during that time, I was sleeping on a cot in my offices. I wouldn't go home days at a time, showering at gyms. I was busting my butt for that success. And I got to the point where I had to ask myself, is this really what I set out to do? And does this glorify God? Is this really healthy for me? Is this okay? And this is like during girl boss hustle culture. So on the outside, for everyone else, like, I'm just killing it. But inside,
Right.
I knew that wasn't going to work, and I knew I had to figure out something else. So I think, like everyone else, I thought, oh, if I go into real estate, I won't have to work as many hours, and I can still make this
That's
great
funny.
income. I know. I thought I could just work 40 hours a week and just make a bunch of money. And I thought, I'm going to set up a unique business model where I'm not, where I'm just working a little bit and the income's coming in. I'm going to have people around me. I had no clue what a real estate team was. I mean, I had no clue, nothing. I had done some commercial in the business I was in, some build outs, and that was that. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought that was the magic ticket, and I was going to get into real
Right.
estate, and that was
Right.
that.
So you got into real estate. How did that go for you in the beginning? What did you do to make money? What was your process?
Yeah, so I joined the flashiest local brokerage that told me, look at us, we're so successful, and we're going to teach you how we got here. So come join us. So I joined this flashy local brokerage. Their name is everywhere, and I thought, okay, this is great. Like, I'm going to be here and become one of these guys, right? And then I went to my first coaching meeting, and it was all about getting up at 4:30, positive affirmations in the mirror, cold plunging, exercise, your diet,
Gold plunging.
cold plunging, everything that just like creates income. Like, it was all about generating income via hyping yourself up. I don't know. And I was like, okay, this isn't. And I continued to go to meetings. I continued to go to lunch and learns. And a lot of it was door knocking,
Right.
calling leads on Facebook, kind of like the bare
Yep.
minimum. But no one in
Yep.
my office was doing any of that. And no one in my office was willing to tell me what they were doing, not even the mentor I was assigned. My broker was MIA because she had her own business in real estate also. So it was very difficult to get a hold of her. So I thought, okay, I'm going to come up with a strategy on my own. I want this business to run in the background, and I want to generate income from it. So I put 30 grand into creating my own lead system, and I hired an ISA team. And I found out that my lead system was working because the ISA team was stealing and referring off my leads to other agents at a different brokerage.
Oh,
Yes. And so it was an aha moment of, I can generate leads and refer them off to other agents and make money. But it also was a big burn that I had put all this money and time and energy.
right.
And I was in this
Right.
brokerage where I had done some deals, but at that point I was like at a 50-50 split, right? So it
Right.
just wasn't, things weren't working how I thought. And so I did some digging, and I came across Jackson Wilkie, who is my now husband's business partner. So Jesse and Jackson founded Channel Junkies together, and
Yep.
Channel Junkies teaches agents how to build a YouTube channel that generates leads. And then they also, which I don't know that a lot of people may or may not be aware of this, they teach you how to scale your business in a way that you've got plenty of agents, or maybe you're the agent and you need the YouTube face, the person on the YouTube side of things, or whatever it was. And I was like, will this guy really tell me what he's doing? Like, is he really going to tell me every single step because clearly I'm not a system creator. Is he going to tell me what his system is and I can jump in and do this? So I met with Jackson. I thought, I'm going to put everything into this. I could just tell that he was authentic and it wasn't going to be cold plunging affirmation meetings. No offense. I know a lot of people enjoy that, but it doesn't pay the bills at the end of the day.
It does not. It does
No.
not. You're absolutely correct.
So I bought a GoPro and I started making videos the same day that I started learning. And it looked really different than it does today. I had a GoPro on a stick. I would walk and talk, and then I saw my video and it was like all over the place. So I started trying to hang it up on a chain link fence, and my mom's cat would like jump on the fence and shake the camera. Like it was really different. These days I have a videographer that follows me around. So it's been a process, but in the first month I had someone call me on the phone and cry, and they felt like I was their best friend, and they said, "I really want to work with you." They happened to be a cash buyer, and it was at the higher end of our median price point at that time out here in Boise, Idaho. And I called Jackson and I said, "I know you and Jesse have a way that I don't need to work with this client. So teach me the next step." And the next step was, well, you got to put them on a Zoom call with your agent. Do you have an agent? I said, "I don't have an agent." And he's like, "Well, you need an agent. This is how you find an agent." So I quickly found an agent. I was also told you need a lender to be on this Zoom call. It's all, I can go into more detail about that at some point if you want, but
Yeah,
I got
sure.
this lead on a Zoom with a buyer's agent and Addie, so I have the same buyer's agent today I had back then, and I have the same lender. So we've been all working together for a long time. And the lead bought a house and it just never stopped. It kept coming in. And every time I hit a point where I just wasn't really sure what the next step was, they coached me into the next step. And it's been really neat because I'm at a point now where I work one day every other week. I film YouTube videos one day every other week. It's anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, and that's it. And then my agent, he's being coached via Channel Junkies on how to work with the clients in a way that they are ready to see their final few houses and pull the trigger by the time he's meeting with them in person. So he's working a lot less and making a lot more money than he ever has. And Addie, our money guy, he's like, the only clients that he wants to work with now are clients from YouTube because the leads are so solid. You attract like-minded people. So if you're a nice, warm, bubbly person, you attract nice, warm, bubbly clients. And it's just been a big blessing for all of us, and none of us are working as much as we used to, and all of us are making a lot more money than we used to.
Okay. So a couple of things I want to unpack and emphasize here from what you said. Okay. So you joined the big flashy broker, the biggest broker in the area. And what you thought was, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you could learn from them by modeling them and mimicking them and all this fun stuff. And I'm going to call them a legacy brokerage. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Legacy to me is like the franchises of old, and because I owned one, I was a franchisee. I call them legacy brokerages, and I think most of those systems are broken. And you explained exactly why they are broken, right? Because basically they really don't give a shit about anybody. They just want a number in. Hopefully you do some business. They're going to worry about their own business and not help you. Your mentor wouldn't even tell you what they were doing to be successful. So what good is that? I mean, one of the things that we do on a regular basis at Align, which I didn't mention before, was, basically, it's all about helping the agent grow their business, right? And you, in turn, one of the things you had to do was you had to figure it out for yourself, and you did, and you figured the strategy. So you connect with Jackson Wilkie, who's also been on this broadcast, and you talked about how to grow a business. Now, you were doing other things before. How were you able to be successful with door knocking and the cold calling and all that stuff that you were doing before? Were you successful at that?
I was, but it wasn't accomplishing what I was seeking out to do. Was seeking out to create a business, and I felt like it was kind of insane that the normal average agent wears all of the hats, pours time and energy into doing all these tasks and jobs that aren't aren't our best. I don't have a like a fancy way of saying it, but we're not all good at everything, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're dumping yourself into all these things that you're not good at, it's a waste of time. It's really draining. And I just thought this isn't smart. There's a much more in the businesses I had owned previously. I didn't One of them was a medical practice, for example, and I had orthodontists. I'm not an orthodontist, so I wasn't in a patient's mouth. That's not my
Right.
skill set. So I was having success, but I hated it. It was taking up all my time, and
Right.
ultimately, if something happened to me, that income was going to stop. And my goal was I need to build something now that matches your activities match who you really are. I think a lot of people think their activities are separate from who they are as a person, and I don't think so. Like what we do, the decisions we make, and what we put our time and energy are
Right.
into creates us. So I was not creating it just didn't align with my goals. So I was
So,
having monetary success, but in no other way do I feel like I was having success.
so it's really cool you mentioned that agents do a lot of things that A, they don't want to do, and B, they're not good at, right? I mean, a lot of agents honestly don't want to be on the phone calling people to say, "Hey, can I sell your house?" It's a good friend of mine who's by the name of Grant Wise, who's been on this broadcast many times, big into Facebook ads, said to me, "Dave, you can't judge a fish by their ability to climb a tree."
Oh,
Think about that.
I've had that on my wall for years.
Right. And think about that, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
didn't want to do the things, you were not good at certain things. It's like trying to get a fish to climb a tree, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's so what you were able to do, and and honestly, Rachel, I'm sure you'll agree with this. There's not a lot of agents that are able to transform their thought process into, okay, this is what's going to work. Let me investigate this. And now I'm going to go completely into it because there's a fear of failure in anything we do. I mean, look, there are people that prospect on the phone all the time, me one of them, that still has this fear of judgment, right? We all, I mean, it's something that is it's in our souls that people are going to judge us because let's face it, we're interrupting them and we don't like when people call us. We
Right.
need to get over that shit, but that's beside the point, right? So you decided to get completely and totally into this. Did you put everything else aside when you met with Jackson?
Yeah, I did.
Right.
I
So
put
how
every
did that feel? How did that feel making that commitment and discipline to do that?
it felt great. It felt great because I felt like I was running a business. I felt I I knew that Jackson and Jesse were authentic. I saw the other people who were learning from them and that had YouTube channels. I mean, I reached out, I called people. I did my research to make sure I wasn't just getting into anything, right? Like I did my
Right.
due diligence and I was in just total shock that more people were not doing it because of the results that were coming. Everybody I talked to was having success. So I felt great that I was no longer going to be doing the traditional suck the life out of you. It did not business model. Like that felt great to me. And it felt great that I knew I was also going to have something to offer other professionals and be
Right.
able to in turn help their businesses. And it felt great to know that people were going to call us and ask us if they could work with us, if we could be their team to help them buy or sell a house. And that is a wonderful feeling when someone feels they've made a connection with you, and you can really help them and bless them that way. That was really I mean, I felt great. I was not scared to give up any of the other stuff at all, not in the
So
slightest.
do you think it's important for an agent to, I don't want, this is going to sound strange, to fail first or to figure out things on their own before they commit to a system like you did? Like, the reason I asked the question
Oh no, I
is
like this
because
question.
you figured out that since you were having your lead stolen by an ISA team and referred out to others, that, hey, shit, I can do that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it a different way. So you actually didn't fail. You got screwed and then figured out, how can I make that, what they did, work for me? So
Yeah.
the question is it important for people to understand what they have to do before they have to implement a completely different system?
I don't think so. No. I
Okay.
think okay, well, I think a couple of things. I've noticed in this space there's a lot of personality tests and a lot of sit down, figure out who you are and what you're good at by taking a personality test. And I'm not against personality tests or all the whatever, whatever they call all the different things. I think you learn better by applying yourself and through your failures and successes and what you enjoy and what feels heavy and exhausting. I think that's how
Right.
you learn what you're good at, what you could improve in, if you want to even improve in that. And I think that's
Right.
really how you figure out if you're looking at your business through the lens of, so I very much look at my business through the lens of, I'm going to focus on what I'm good at and I'm going to find somebody for everything else. And I think that was probably the more, to me, not radical, but most radical piece of all of it is that I think most agents would say, okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel when the lead comes in. Now I've got a client to work with, or I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to learn how to edit the video so I can get my video up. I right away out of the gate was like, I am going to make the YouTube video and that is it. I'm not editing. I'm not working with the clients. I'm not doing Sphere. I'm not doing drips. I'm doing nothing. And I told myself right away, my time is more valuable and I'm only good at what I know I'm good at. And I already knew what kind of things I would be successful in because I've applied myself so much,
Right.
not
Right.
because of a personality test, right? Or not trying to force myself to be something I'm not. And I just made that decision right away and I started running it like a business from day one. And so I've never edited a video. I've never worked with a client. I've never followed up with a client. I am not the one who keeps them flowing in the funnel. I do none of that. I make the video and that's it. And so I think that is probably the more, and I was coached that way. And you could be coached the other way too. If you want to be the agent and
Right.
you're scared to be on video and you know the camera's not your going to be your thing, then you can be taught how to find the right person for that too and just make that decision up front that, you know,
So, so you say you never did you ever upload just raw video that you had done to the YouTube channel?
I uploaded my clips and that took me like 3 days.
Wow.
And very quickly I knew I told myself I need to make enough money to have a videographer to do this and to manage my channel because I want to spend those 3 days with my kids. I have young children and I didn't want to spend that's to me that's not a valuable use of my time is to sit on a
Right.
computer and upload all of my clips. So that was taking in my opinion a lot of time. I would
Right.
have to so I am now at a point where I have a videographer and I could tell you every time I have put money I've replaced my time with money and hired on another person or brought on another business partner, my income has grown. So I think it's scary for a lot of people to make the decision right out of the gate to hire out or maybe to split your commissions. But I think it's the best thing financially that you could do and also just for yourself, buying your life back. You know, Another really big moment I had in my life, I sat down and I thought I was wrong with the math. I did it over and over. Uh, Someone said, "How many hours do you think the average person lives in the United States?" And I was like, "Oh, billions." That's where my mind went right away. And they were like, "No, it's not even a million hours. It was not even 700,000 hours." And I just was like, okay, that's kind of a gut punch. Like, do I really want to spend 3 days? So I always think about that.
That's such an important thing to say that people don't get because I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit here if it's okay.
Yeah.
People talk about time management, and I basically have one saying for that: time management is bullshit. I don't think it's possible because you can't manage time. Like for instance, if I said during this broadcast, I said, "Rachel, you got to hold on a second. I have to go to the bathroom." Right? 3 minutes, I come back. Those 3 minutes aren't coming back. There's still that blank spot in this video, right? That we didn't do anything. And people are like going, when I say what I'm going to do, they start thinking, well, wow, what the hell is he doing? Right? We don't get that time back. What we can do is we can optimize time, right? We can prioritize time. We can actually monetize time if we do it properly. And what you've been able to do by using the systems of Channel Junkies and learning and being coached the way you wanted to be coached, you knew enough what you wanted, right? And I think
Mhm.
most people do. They're just afraid to admit it, what they want, right? So the point I'm making is really simple. Having time, more time is most people's problem. You
Yeah.
seem to have been able to wrap that up in a strategy and an implementation and evolution process of your business, being able to, don't lose the time, not having to worry about managing time. And I do a session every Fridays. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, about plan and prep and how to take the anxiety away from your schedule. That's the number one thing that I help agents with is no
Yeah.
more anxiety with the schedule. That's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
If you get a prospect for 3 hours and something comes up where you only get 2 hours in, screw it. The hell with the other hour. Do what has to be done, family, whatever it is. So, all right. So there's my little rant about time and stuff. And but
No.
here's the question though. Okay, so we talked about what it's done for you. You talked a little bit about the process. So what I would like you to do now is talk about how you got started. You have to create a channel, you had to do video. People think about tags and descriptions and all this fancy shit that you have to do research on. Talk to me about that process and how you learned it.
Okay. So Jackson said, these are what the settings you need to have on your YouTube channel are. This is the camera I use. And I just said, okay. And I went to Costco. I got a GoPro. And I came home and set up the back end of my channel, and I've never touched it again since. It was really simple. Yeah.
Why a GoPro? Why
At
not?
that
Why not your cell phone?
at that time, so I started my YouTube channel, gosh, I think three and a half years ago. At that
Okay.
time, GoPro was just it it just was it's what Jackson was using. It would made it we don't use a GoPro now. Now, my videographer actually uses a DJI. Let me see. I got one right here, but it's hooked up to something. A DJI Osmo. And those are great because home tours are becoming an important part of YouTube now. And the Osmo adjusts to light beautifully. I think the exchange that you get with an Osmo, as opposed to a more traditional, what is this guy? Something like this, is you don't get as wide of an angle. But we love our Osmo. It's really simple, high quality, just not as wide of an angle. And I'm not sure what Jackson uses these days, but I know a lot of people are using the DJI. Really, it's using whatever works best for you. And the
Right.
iPhone, I believe 15 and up, the camera quality is insane. And I don't think you need to buy another camera. You can just start with where you are. Um, and what makes YouTube really, really simple is that it is a search engine. So you put your video up on YouTube, and YouTube goes and finds the people for you because it wants to play their ads to the end user. So as you do your settings the way I would not even be able to tell you what those settings are, what the tags are, nothing. I literally did it one time and that was it. And that was like day one, just my first task. And Channel Junkies will teach you, don't get into paying for ads or pushing your videos out, because then you think you're smarter than Google and YouTube's algorithm, right? Like, you're telling it who to send your videos out to instead of letting it be the search engine that it is and
Right.
looking for those
Right.
people for you. So
Right.
I've literally, I bought my camera, I did my back end, and that is it. Like, I've never touched that since. And then when we make the videos, there are certain techniques and skills in what you say and how you say it and what you do that are really helpful in drawing in leads and preparing people in my situation that they're going to be working with somebody else and not me. So,
Okay, I like that. I like that. So,
yeah.
settings. Are we talking about tags? Are we talking about descriptions? What's the most important thing that you had to do in order to get seen, to get noticed?
Start uploading videos. So tags are a very, very small piece of it. It's not a large part of it. The description, I would say, and I don't know if Jackson and Jesse, they'll probably tell you something very different. I mean, they're the true experts. I'm only the expert in my community
Right.
where I live. And
Right.
so that's what I
Right.
share. I would say it's what you don't put in there, because you don't want to keep directing people off of your YouTube. You don't want to direct them to short form content. Um, it's about keeping them on your YouTube channel for as many minutes as you can.
Right.
And the other, I know the other really big tip that Jackson would give. So you see, now I have a channel manager and he deals with all my titles, all my thumbnails, but is using so I'm in Boise, Idaho, but we don't really sell houses in Boise, Idaho. We mostly sell them in Eagle, Idaho, Star, Middleton, the suburbs of Boise. But when people go on YouTube and are looking to learn about the area, they're typing Boise, Idaho. So making
Right.
sure that you're taking advantage of your anchor city, the city where you live, is also really important. And that's going to be what initially people are looking for, that information. And as long as you're giving them good long videos with robust information, YouTube will start to feed your videos to the right people. It just
Okay.
happens organically, totally organically.
Okay. So how long did it take, Rachel, for you once you set your settings, do your settings, and started uploading video, even not great videos? Did it take a long time to get your first lead? Did it take a long time to get your first transaction? And are you in if not, the next follow-up question will be, are you typical or atypical when it
Okay.
comes to that?
It took me a month to get my first solid lead, and they did buy a house pretty quickly after that. I can't tell you what is typical. I do know that in the beginning, it's not uncommon for people to initially receive phone calls from people looking to rent. And then the algorithm, as it's working itself out, it begins to draw in more buyers. And
Right.
I never get rental leads now. We focus primarily on homes over $1 million.
Right.
So the leads I generate are typically people who are looking for homes over $1 million
Right.
and are retired, a lot of cash buyers. And that's because that's who I'm talking to. And it takes YouTube a little bit of time to figure that out. I think there's different factors. I think the size of your market, how much new construction and relocation you have, are probably big indicators into how long it's going to take to start generating leads. I've seen people in the Channel Junkies Facebook page upload a video and get a lead that day. after their first video. And then I've seen people who it's taken a couple months, and once they get that first lead, it's like a fire hose and they just keep coming in. A lot of it really has to do with the kind of video you're making and if you're saying and doing the right things. We've seen people have YouTube video channels outside of Channel Junkies that have been uploading videos for, let's say, a year. They're not having success. They join Channel Junkies. Somebody sits down and goes through their channel and shows them what they need to pull off and what they need to start uploading, and then the leads start coming in right away. So,
All right. So, kind of videos.
yes.
Is there a kind of video you do? Like your website has let's call it a title video, where you talk about the pros and cons of moving to Boise, Idaho area. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that title video, that pin video, is that really important to your channel?
I think it is. We call that a talking head video, and you really need a
Right.
mixture of what your videos need to be is if someone's sitting down and they want to relocate to that area and they know nothing. They want to hear what you have to say about it. They want to see it. They want to know what they could potentially buy looks like. They want your opinion about quality, about the builders, about the neighborhoods, the community, the cost. They want to know the bad things to help them decide. So you really need to give them a combo of all of that. So pros and cons is a great talking head because it's a good way for them to get to know you and how you view your city and what you think is great about living there and what maybe is not so wonderful, and is that really an avenue they want to venture down. So it's a good opportunity for you to be brutally honest. If you pop on there and you're a car salesman and you're like, where I live's perfect, it's all rainbows and sunshine, and you should just move here, you're not building trust with your audience. So
Right.
it's a great way to build trust and be honest. I tell people the really crappy things about living in Boise, Idaho, and I get flooded with comments and emails. I've been watching other YouTube agents and no one has ever said any of these things. I'm so grateful to you. And then sometimes they'll go, we have an air quality issue in Boise part of the year. And that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. I talk about it and we'll get people to say, I thought I was going to move there. Now I'm not, but I trust you. Who do you know in another city that you can refer me to? So it's also a great way to gain referrals. So the talking head videos are great for that. Those also build views for your channel and subscribers and likes and all of that. And so those help build an audience. You're not after subscribers and a ton of views in the same way that people are when they're posting short form content. You're not on YouTube to entertain. You're on YouTube to educate a very specific audience. And it's not good to attract anyone other than an audience, right? Because it screws up the algorithm and it drops your lead count down. It's better to have a video with 100 views of people who want to relocate than it is 1,000 views of people who live in your area. So you have to be careful about what your titles are and what you're really teaching people. So the kind of video that really pulls in leads, but maybe doesn't get as many views, would be a vlog tour about a very specific area. This is where you're really showing them what they would be experiencing if they were here driving around. And it's giving them an idea of, hey, this community you can cross off your list or you can put on your list. It's a good visual for them to see, okay, that suburb looks like this, the houses look like that, the retail's this way. If I go to the grocery store, that's what the grocery store looks like. Those don't get as many views, so you can't just only do vlog tours, or else YouTube's not going to feed your videos to everybody, but it generates leads. So
Right.
it is a balance, and you can really take the time to figure out that balance yourself, or you could get help from Channel Junkies, and they already know, they've done all the trial and error, and can coach you through what you need to be shooting, what people are looking for in your area. So I think that goes again back to like my appreciation of time. I think just go to the people who already have the system. They'll tell you what to shoot and shoot it.
You
You
said
know?
something a minute ago about saying the right things on your videos. What does that mean?
So if you're like me and you're not going to be working with the client, you need to make sure you're saying things like my team, my agent, my money guy, and you're really educating your audience that you're not the person they're going to be working with, but you're the person who has vetted the person they're going to be working with. They trust you, so they're going to trust who you pick for them to work with. So a lot of agents have this fear that if they make the YouTube channel, people are it's that the pass off to an agent to refer the deal is not going to work. They feel like people are just going to be adamant about wanting to work with them, and they have a really hard time seeing how this whole business model can really work where you're creating these videos and you're the agent in the videos, but then the customer calls and gets someone else. It's a big mental game for
Right.
the
Right.
person in the video to get over. So there's really important things to say casually in your videos that prompt and teach your viewer that you're not going to be the person, but they don't want to work with you because, like in my case, or in like Jackson's case, for example, he says, I'm the shittiest real estate agent you've ever come across.
He
Right?
does. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing thousands of deals, and it's because they trust him and he picks the
Right.
not the shittiest agent. He picks the best agent for them to work with.
So when you transitioned, I'll go back for a second. When you transitioned
Yeah.
doing, with the ISA and into this, were you at all hesitant or at all afraid that, oh shit, I was making money here, all of a sudden I'm going to go into something else and not make any money until this thing gets going, and it better get going? Was there a fear? Was there any trepidation there?
No,
Why
no.
not?
Because I called other YouTube agents. I called around. I did a lot of research. I didn't take a long time researching. I think you can spend too much time
Right.
planning,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh
and so
yeah.
I've always been a very discerning person. I think what helped too is I knew exactly what I wanted before I found it. I just didn't. So then when this just checked every box, and I was in a ton of Facebook groups, I was seeing that like there was just so much fluff and smoke in the industry. I knew like, you know, I knew that people weren't going to give me the exact playbook the way that I needed it, and that even if they did, when I looked at what their life was like, it wasn't the business that I wanted. I wasn't seeing anybody who that was the life and the business I wanted, so I didn't want their playbook anyway. So when I saw that Jackson was making YouTube videos and that he wasn't working with the clients. And I started to call around different YouTube agents and just ask them, like, what was their process? Were they working with clients? Were they doing the video? And, I started digging and everybody was giving me the same answers. And it wasn't, Jackson didn't know I was calling people. He had no clue. People
Right.
didn't know who I was. And they were all so excited about what they were doing that they were like, just super excited to tell you all about it. They were having all this success. And I think it was really neat. It was really neat. And I knew right away, like, okay, this is the part of the industry where I have found my people. And I knew that I could build something really big and really beautiful and bless a lot of people and pick who I was working with because I would have something to offer them. So, like I said, the agent that I've been working with since day one, he is salt of the earth. He's family, him and his wife and his kids. I love them. And this has been incredible for them. And I am so fortunate that I have them in my life and that's my team. I like the people I work with. Same thing with our loan officer, same thing with my videographer. And then all of the people in the Channel Junkies family, I would call it, are like-minded, and everybody is just, I don't know, it's easy to be happy and kind when you're having success and not working yourself to the bone to achieve it.
So I
You
want
know?
to, you've talked a lot about Channel Junkies, and I'm very familiar with them. As I said, Jackson and Jesse have been on the broadcast, but I've also had on the broadcast others that have a YouTube program that have been successful with YouTube. There's others out there that have actually learned from Jackson and Jesse that have their own programs, and there's a lot of people. And what's really interesting is most of them are in the same company that we're in. And just so everybody knows, I'm an EXP agent. I believe, Rachel, you're an EXP agent.
All
This is
this.
not an EXP channel. This is an
No.
informational channel. It just so happens that this is where the pros go to grow, and it's just a great place to be. That being said, I talked about other companies. You did the research. What was different? I mean, you've talked great things about Channel Junkies, and I cannot disagree with any of them because I think Jesse and Jackson are great people. What was different that you chose them rather than the others?
Authenticity. I don't want to talk poorly about others, but authenticity. Everyone was very open. Nobody had to be the superhero. They were all, you'd call Jackson on the phone and he's like, I'm not the superhero. My agent's the superhero. My business partner, Jesse's the superhero. The superhero is this person. Then you'd go to that superhero and they would point back to Jackson, and everybody was willing to reach down no matter how much success they had and help.
Right,
100% of
right,
the agents that I called and reached out to were willing to tell me what was working for them, tell me what they were doing. And at this point, I had been to 2 brokerages. So I didn't get into that, but I was at 2 different brokerages after I thought that the first one was like, I didn't realize
right.
pretty much most of these brokerages are the same. And
True.
I I didn't know if I was even allowed to bring up EXP or not.
You can. Yeah, you bring
Okay.
anything else you want.
I cried when I saw EXP's business model because it was another layer of that element where I knew I wanted to create a community and an income that if something happened to me and I needed to take some time
There
off
you
of
go.
work, that there would be an income. And I have had to take time off of work since starting my YouTube channel and having this business. And you know what? It was okay. And
Mhm.
I didn't feel anxious or insecure, and I was not worried about my business. I knew it would run in the background, and I knew I was surrounded by amazing, beautiful, successful people who knew how to help carry my burden during that time. And there the thing about EXP's business model that is so different from other brokerages, even others that have a similar business model to EXP,
Yep.
is that you are so significantly financially incentivized to actually help, really genuinely help grow and scale someone else's business in a way that it's not a $5 paycheck or a gift card, or it's real significant money. And it really benefits you in a really big way. So when I was at a traditional brokerage, let's imagine that someone did have a business that I wanted to duplicate.
Right.
I would have felt terrible taking the time from them away from their own business to ask the questions, to be taught. I would really
Right.
feel, okay, even if I had enough money to offer that person, would it be willing for, like, would it be a good use of their time? They're busy, they've got a lot going on, and the brokerage was not incentivizing them to help me. So I would have felt bad using their time. At EXP, I can literally pick up the phone and call someone who's got thousands of agents, and they will sit with little old me and tell me what the next step is in order to grow my business. And I
Yeah.
have an ocean of agents that I get to look at their
Yeah.
businesses and go, okay, what's their business like? Do I want that? And I can call them and it's incredible. And EXP has even upped it now where if there's multiple agents that you see have these incredible businesses and skill sets, or maybe you go, this agent over here is great at YouTube, but this agent over here is great at systems and spheres and coaching and growing a team. You can actually work with both those agents now. They can both mentor you and you
Right.
can combine the best of both of their businesses. So you're not even pegged anymore into, I mean, it's just what you weren't anyway. I think mentally yeah, EXP, there's nothing like it. We're so blessed. We're beyond blessed financially, with people in community, with education, opportunity. It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It's just different. And
Mhm.
having been an owner of a legacy brokerage and seeing how that worked, and my goal was more agents, more agents, more agents. Did we care if they did business? Well, I cared, but I can't want it more than they do. And with what
Right.
we are and what you're doing, what I'm doing is our objective is to help the client ultimately to get what they want and get what they need because we believe in our abilities. So with with what you do with your YouTube channel and what you do with your business, what I do with my business, we want to help as many people as we possibly can. And that's what it allows us to do. So just a couple other things. We're up on time now. Quick question. What do you do as far as changing and evolving your business? Are you just going to keep going? Are there any nuances where you want to add to it? Or are you just going to keep going and doing the same work?
Well, my goal is to retire my lead agent and put him in a situation where he has enough agents working everything that he's just doing Zoom calls, essentially. So that's the next phase of our business. I want to get him out of having to meet with clients and show anything in person and get him in a situation where, yeah, he's doing Zoom calls 1 or 2 days a week and making more money. So that's the next part.
Awesome.
And then because both of us are making well over six figures right now. Um, just to, I know we might not have talked about that, so I don't know if people really understand like the one day every other week of working
Right.
is generating multiple six figures for myself, for my agent. And so my goal now is to bring on some other agents to get him in a position where he's just doing the Zoom calls and he has more time and freedom to go off. And I also do feel, uh, uh, I would say I've gotten to a point where I feel a duty, not just moms, but especially moms because I'm a mom and I see what it's like to be a working mom and have to, they're only little once, take time away to build something or create a business, how hard that is and can be. The guilt. Whoop, sorry, my computer's going off.
It's okay. But that's the important part about what you do. I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
you spend your time on YouTube and there's some posts on um other social media, but your social media is based on helping moms do what you're doing, right?
Yeah. So with YouTube being long form content, it's provides so much value that in my world, there's not a lot of reason to post any short form content because that's more entertaining. I've gotten to where I've done a little bit because I want to get the message out, especially to other moms or other entrepreneurs or
Right,
maybe people who are getting to
right.
the point where they're running out of time, they want to retire. I think it's too valuable to not share that I work essentially what averages out to 3 hours a week and make multiple six figures, and in a way where it's really fun and really fruitful. And I think it's interesting because I know a lot of people will hear this and then they won't do anything with it. I don't know if
Right.
they really understand like it.
Right.
So I also think that I'm at a point where I need to help other people also understand what I do and
That's
direct
great.
them to go off and do it
That's great.
also.
And that's how I started this broadcast 7 years ago, to give as much back as I possibly could to everything I've gotten. I just got a couple more things. One
Yeah.
question I always ask at the beginning of the broadcast, and I've been forgetting the past couple weeks, and I don't know why. This broadcast is called Real Estate Talk, TGIF. Do you know what TGIF stands for?
Is it Thank God It's Friday?
It's really close, very good. I
Okay.
give you, you're 3/4 of the way there, but it's thank God it's
Thank God
Fanale.
Yay! I was like, that was my next guess.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so I just got two things. One is a very important question. How do I help you grow your business?
I think honestly, giving me this time to process out loud what it is, where we started, where we are now, and like how much of an opportunity we have to help other people and inspire other people. This is, I mean, you just helped me and hopefully a lot of other people in a really big way. It's
That
like,
is fantastic. And I just, oh, sorry about that. Put that back. There you go. Next week, we have someone that you know and love, Rachel Dau, on our program to talk more about Channel Junkies, talk more about video and everything else. We're really excited about having Jesse on. He's been on the broadcast before. And last but not least, as everyone who joins the broadcast, the hat is coming your way. So we'll
woohoo!
get this to you, and then the next week we'll get one to Jesse, and you guys can take a nice picture with the hats on. Rachel, stay on for a minute as we go out, but thank you
Yeah.
so much for being on. This was a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it.
Thank
It's just fantastic. Thanks so much.